In the previous video, I showed you how to upload files and folders, but what if there are documents or items within a folder that you don't want to have composed? This video is going to cover that with our Msty ignore file, as well as ignore rules that you can set up at the folder level for knowledge stacks that will apply to any knowledge stacks beneath it. Okay, for that first option, if I click on Browse Folder and then go up a level here, I'm going to open that. There is actually an ignore file in here. So let's click on Show Ignored File. And then we'll see a couple. There's .ds store and also Msty ignore. So I'm going to bring up the Msty ignore file to show you what that looks like. All right, I have the Msty ignore file that I set up for that particular folder. And we can see some default rules here. And I'm not going to go too deep into this. I'll just point to the documentation that we have on our doc site. But rather, we have an interface within the knowledge stacks that I'm going to go over. So I'm going to X out of this. And where that is at the folder level in knowledge stacks. And I know it's a little confusing because we have the folders on the right, but we also have a folder structure on the left. So what I'm referring to is the parent folder here that says MISC. If you click on the ellipses icon and then click on Edit Ignore Rules, we're going to see a lot of the same rules show up in here. And this is by default, so all the folders are going to have this set of rules applied. And any knowledge stack that you add to this folder will have these same rules applied when composing, when adding folders to the knowledge stack. So for example, it's going to automatically ignore log files, temp files, .envs, .git, very similar to git ignore if you're familiar with that file structure. So for demonstration, let's say that we want to ignore anything that is a .pdf file. So I'm just going to add an asterisk and then .pdf and then save that. And let's now create a new knowledge stack under our MISC folder. I'm going to click on knowledge stack. And then we'll just call this one test. And then within the folder section, so with files, we're going to assume that whatever you upload under the files section is something that you do indeed want to have composed. So these ignore rules are not going to be included for files because again, we're going to assume that you're actually uploading files that you do indeed want to have composed. But where it does apply is at the folder level. And this is for ease of use because you could have a bunch of folders, subfolders, and maybe you don't want to manage everything beneath it. And then instead, just create rules to ignore files that you don't want to load into the knowledge stack. So for this example, let's go ahead and click on Browse Folders. And we see in here that we have this PDF file. So since I set that rule, this one should be ignored. So let's go ahead and click on Open. And then scroll down a bit and then expand that folder. And expand the subfolder as well. And then click on Show Ignored Files. So here we could see that the Pecan PDF file is going to be ignored. And other files that are ignored, again, are that DS store and the .msty ignore file. And to see this in action, I'm going to click on Compose. And what I expect not to see is that PDF as well as the msty ignore and DS store. So let's click on Compose. Now that this folder has completed composing, let's click on the chunks visualizer. And then again in here, we do not want to see a PDF file, nor the .ds, nor the .msty ignore files. And indeed, we do not see them included in this list. And so we know that they were properly ignored.